Hello and welcome back everyone to another DE Hammered video. In today's video, I want to start off by sharing with you the latest project I've been working on, the Star Trek's Lower Deck LED standoff sign. It was fun. I made this for a friend. I hope he enjoys it. And I kind of want to continue on in this video in the theme of Lower Decks. And for those of you who have not seen this, it is an animated Star Trek show focusing on the low people on the totem pole on a ship. So those who don't normally get the focus of attention. And so that's what this video is going to be about. We're going to talk about some materials, tools, and safety items that don't always get brought up. Yes, some people have, but I kind of want to go over what I find important or what some of the items I've just added to my shop and give you my ideas and opinions on them. Everything in this video is opinion. So before we get into the video, remember, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe and bell button to keep up with all the latest DE Hammered videos. And let's not delay anymore. Let's get into this. First on the list is materials. And this first one's not something you go out and buy, but something you produce after you finish something. And I'm talking about scraps. Now, I know some people are like, hey, I got firewood. Well, for this latest project, I actually made a couple pieces out of the scraps from that and previous scraps I had used. First off, I made just a little parts tray. Nothing fancy, didn't even stain it, paint it, anything like that, but I could put bits in here. I did put bits in here when I was working on this project, screws. It was just a nice little tray that I could use and could move from project to project and use. Nothing hard about it, but this was just out of one of the pieces of scrap wood I had from another project. No, this was the current one I was working on. Also out of that same cut, I made these hold downs. Are they the best? No. Mainly, this was so when I was putting down my acrylic, I could line up the x-axis. Am I saying it the right one? The y was fine, but the x sometimes, where I put it down on the project would move left or right, and so I have to spend time going back and forth getting it just right for the next cut. With these, I was able to put the acrylic down. It was in the same place, and I was able to just move on, and I didn't have to worry except for setting my Z height. I already had my X and my Y locked down. Is this the best design? No. Did it work for what I was doing? Yes. Am I going to look at different options? Yes. Everyone has their own preferred way. Right now, I still use tape and glue with these, and it worked great. Mainly the tape and the glue was to hold the center of my acrylic down, just make sure it stayed flat. And then these let me, again, line up my axis so I didn't have to re-zero those out. And I could just go. 3 in a row. So, gonna keep working on these, but it was a fun little deal. And then also, yes, I cut out a square. Now, it may be a little hard here, but I have an indentation here, and then you can see a hole right there. And for these LED signs, you use a screw to go into them. So I made a template so I could drill in the screw hole for all these frames. Now, yes, I could have switched out bits and done that, but again, that was just going to be adding time to the cut, where everything's cut, just take my drill, go. Punch, no having to switch out the bit in between each cut I was doing. So that just saved time in that area. Again, making templates, hold downs, holders from scraps. I think this is one of the more underutilized things you can do. I know there are people out there who do it, but don't be afraid to save some of your scraps. I've also saved my acrylic scraps to make little O-rings for the LED signs because they're 3 millimeter thick and they have about a 6 millimeter gap between the screw-on and the base, so you can put those in there and it makes them nice and sturdy. So again, keep your scraps. You can find little things you can use them for, but that about wraps it up for the scraps. Next, let's talk about some filler. Now right here I have wood filler by Gorilla Glue and wood filler by Elmer's. I will have to now on these two, if you're not doing any wood, you're not going to need these. But I do find it handy to have some filler around. I have been using these two, and the Elmer's has a much more smoother feel to it, feels easier to work with, where the Gorilla Glue, well, it's grainy, it's not really sometimes what I like to use when I'm using on plywood to smooth out, so an edge where you can see all the layers to get rid of those when you're painting. So I did see another video by another YouTuber. If I can find the video in time, I'll link it down there. She does a great job of going over how she preps her furniture with plywood to get rid of those lines when you're painting, but she used DAP, and I went ahead and got some of that, and it works great. It's so much easier to use, dries fast, sands well. Now, is this going to be applicable in every situation? No! These are water-based, so you do need to realize that when you're doing these, you may not be able to use these for outdoor signs. I'm not saying you can if you seal them and all that, but overall, I'm going to stick with the DAP over using these. And yes, I know you can mix wood glue and your sanding shavings and make a kind of a contraction from that. Bad thing is, for me, I do use my vacuum as well with a lot of the acrylic I cut, so that's not going to really work for me. But again, you can buy something or you can make something. I just think it's a good product to have in handy for getting rid of the stripes you see in plywood when you're painting. A lot of times you can see this all the different layers with that DAP and everything. That's going to help conceal that and give you a nice clean solid look. All right, next are these little plastic feet. I know this sounds weird, but these are some handy little things to have. A lot of times you don't want just bare on wood or anything resting up against a wall. Help prevent the wall from scratching just by adding a couple of these on the back of the project. You're going to eliminate that, and I think your clients are going to like it. Again, not a whole lot to talk about there. I mean, they're pretty basic, but still, again, a good product. All right, next, isopropyl alcohol. Now, what is that good for, you ask? Well, I was using it when I was doing a lot of resin 3D printing. But, give me a second here. Found some other good uses. This is not its only use, but this is a good one. See that gunk on the scissors? We can go ahead, grab that. Just get a little here. And this is from cutting tape, carpet tape, regular painter's tape. And it just helps clean up any adhesive stuff you get on your tools. Even can clean your bits with it. But isopropyl, always have a hard time saying this word, but I gotta look at it. Isopropyl alcohol. Just a little bit and clean up, and we got that one side. Now let's just clean up this side real quick. Still got a little gunk there. Just get a little bit more. This stuff evaporates pretty fast. But let's just go ahead and get all that gunk off. And there we go. Didn't get them perfect, but if I spent a little bit more time, I could get them even more cleaned up. But sure, you guys are ready to move on. And let's move on to tools. Now, all right, this first one, yes, it's digital. It's an illustrator, and it's the Shaper tool. Now, this tool, I have relatively found out about this just a while ago and started using it. But what I love about this tool is I can draw out my figure like in the L and lower decks. I can draw that front face and then draw the two back places to give it a 3D effect. And then all I have to do is take my shaper tool in there, scribble in the big L, scribble in the little, and scribble in the 3D sides. And now I have three shapes with perfect lines overlapping. And so it makes me a closed vector. This tool is just time saving to say the least, but I wanted to bring it up in this because it is a great digital tool and I really like it. All right. Now, an air blower. Now, yes, you could go and get an air compressor and do all that, and I'm not saying don't. They have their place in time as well. But I wanted to talk about the electric air blower I got for Christmas from my wife and kids, and it has just been wonderful. It's great. I can sit there and just blow something off real quick with the flick of a button, and I can clear out acrylic that's been gathering in the cut area so it doesn't come back and attach to or melt to the acrylic. Dust when I'm cutting, just blowing out a hole, especially when I'm using a down bit and the dust gets in there and my dust collection system can't pick it up because my shop vac's not powerful enough to get it all. But this tool has just been wonderful. I mean, I can use it to when I'm washing my acrylics and I'm using water and some light soap. I don't want that water to dry up on it. I can just go take that, blow it on the acrylic, and it beads up and goes off. And then I can take my microfiber cloth and dry it off. So this thing is just, I think it's one of the more should haves rather than want to haves. So if you're interested, look at those. I can't find the exact one my wife got me, but I'm sure you'll find something that will suit your needs, and I think you'll be pretty happy with it. Now, this next one I just got. I've used it once, and I used it on the ground. So before everyone comes out and starts yelling at me, yes, I know I'll get it on a table. My table was buried. It was late at night. I needed to get this thing painted, but I can see a use for it, especially in the garage when you've been cutting wood all day. There's just fine particles in the air. Your dust collection system doesn't get everything. So which will bring up the air filter, but we'll talk about that when we get to safety. But I think this paint booth will serve its purpose pretty well. Think I'll get a Lazy Susan or something for it so I can turn the piece in there. This piece is kind of getting to the max dimensions for this, but this I think is a maybe you might want something like this. Basically, it's just a children's tent, one of those pop-up ones, but with airflow built in mind and no fun cartoon characters printed all over it. But as I use it more, I'll update you guys and see how I'm liking this. Now, this next one, lighting. So at first, I just had my normal screw-in bulb, my normal screw-in non-LED bulb in the garage. I had a couple of the long work lamp lights, and it was all right, but I was at one of those big box stores, Lowe's or Home Depot, and I saw one of these. It was on sale, and I was like, man, let's try it out. So got it, put it in the garage. Wow, I could see. It was amazing. Went a little bit while longer, and I was like, you know what? I need to get some better lighting for when I'm filming out there. So I got this setup. Um, and to tell you the truth, I use this more for just when I'm working than when I'm actually videotaping. These things are awesome for me. I've said before, my work area changes based on what I'm doing, where the car is. Is it in or outside the garage? These let me move them around and get light where I need it for what I'm working on. So, are these for everyone? No, but maybe if you're like me and your workstation area changes a lot, these might be something you want to look into. What I really like about these lights is that they're diffused, so it's not like looking into this bright light and getting those halo images in your eyes like the LED light I got that screwed in. So again, this is I think it's a good have. It's not a must have, but it is good. All right. After lighting, let's talk about the Dremel. Now, this tool, just whether it's cutting out pieces after, cutting out pieces from that are held on by tabs, sanding, cleaning up, getting into tight spaces, and just kind of clearing out some bits that may have not quite agreed with your CNC machine. A Dremel is a great tool. I know it saved me hours of sanding on some stuff, but it's very versatile, has lots of different uses. I think a lot of people talk about this being a secondary tool for them with their CNC, so I'm going to leave it there, but I'm going to give this one up as another, hey, this is a really good tool to have. All right, after that, vice grips, wire strippers, cutters, whatever you want to call it, these things. Now, of course, I bought these, do a lot of Arduino work and Raspberry Pi stuff and messing with the pins. So I always used it for just cutting wire or stripping wire. But as you can see, these holes here, you can cut screws with them. Just like I cut the screws as so on my Star Trek Lower Deck sign. It was great because I didn't want the screws sticking out the back. I didn't want them pulling out the back. So basically went in, screwed in the LED light fixture to the frame, found out how far it went down, and I used a scale like this to measure how far it went down. Then got the screw, put them in my vice grip wire cutter thingy, and apply a lot of pressure to cut it, but it did cut it and was able to finish up the project with it. Now, yes, you could mark it and also use it with a vice grip and a hacksaw and cut it, but if you're in your room and you're trying to fix this because you've been spraying spray paint in your garage all day and wanted to get away from the fumes, don't necessarily want to bring in your vice grips and a hacksaw into your office. Along the same line, now these do have a cutter here at the bottom, but sometimes you need a cutter, you need to just snip something. So these snip tools, these are another great little tool to have. I actually just use them fixing up a Dallas sign I had where I didn't want to drill a bigger hole for the light to go through, because if you look at it at these standoff LEDs, they have a hole for the wire to go through, and then they have an anchor hole that's smaller for the screw to go in. And I didn't want to really try to get another 0.5 millimeter to millimeter hole bigger. So what I did was I just snipped off the ends, snipped off the sides of the connectors there with these, and was able to get the wire through. So again, these are just not a must have. They're just a nice and handy to have. So those are fun. One of the last things here, is a multi-purpose screwdriver. Now, I've had this one for 6 years now, and I love it. This is a screwdriver my dad gave to me almost 20 years ago that I had. What I like about it, you got your Phillips and flatheads on the other side. One of the only issues with it I have is that this is very thick. While it's great for getting stuff going in and turning and giving a lot of torque or power to it, sometimes that is just too big. So on these LED signs, I needed something thinner. And instead of running out and buying a whole new skinny screwdriver, I have these. And I'm able to get in to the standoff hold where I'm screwing it in with this, get it just down snug enough. Is it perfect? No. Does it work for what I need it to do? Yes. And the other great thing is all the little bits. See, already had it fall apart. But that's why you get the magnetic. It's magnetic as well, so it's great. All the little bits. So if you have that freezer handle on your fridge falls off because you have kids who think it's a jungle gym and they should push down on it, it's got multi-uses. A lot of things you can use it for around the house as well, and just a nice thing to have around. This is also another good thing just to have, in my opinion. Again, these are all opinions, but I love this set. I've used it on tons and tons of projects. I've always found the bit and I needed for it. Is it for every project? No, but it's for projects working around the house. It's just a great set to have. All right. Now that we've talked about materials and tools, this next category, safety. Are they tools? Yes, but I wanted to give safety its own category. Now, to start off that category, gloves. Now I use two different types of gloves. I use these are kind of the cloth rubber, and this is when I'm sanding or dealing with anything that's going to give me splinters because, that's fun. Or trying to ratchet something down like I did at work. I don't know if you can still see it, but had a nice blister here from using a screwdriver. Didn't have any of my tools, anything there. And, oh, that was fun. Yes, blisters. But that's why gloves are good. Just help keep your hands free of cuts and doing, not that it's going to protect everything. Nothing does, but these help you from getting those annoying cuts. How about that? Let's go with that. This prevents annoying cuts. All right. Also, the other type of gloves I like to have are the latex, nylon, whatever you want to call, whatever works for you, whatever's good for you, whatever doesn't give your hands skin rash, right? Those are great for painting, handling acrylic. When I'm cleaning it, I like using those because then I can't get my greasy, smudgy fingerprints on it. That is why it's great to have those. And let's say you got a big presentation the next day and you don't want paint all over your hands while you're giving that presentation. So that's another good handy tool for those, let's call them plastic gloves. Just keeping your hands clean, keeping off chemicals, and let's just talk about how funny it feels and cold, how much colder things like liquids feel when you're wearing them. Sorry, they still just trips me out when I'm wearing those gloves and I get them wet. It always feels weird. After gloves, let's talk about fire. Now, I'm only bringing this up because I saw the great debate happening of should you leave your CNC unattended? Guess what? No hot takes in this video. We're just going to talk about safety. Have a fire extinguisher. Okay, I know, yes, I've been doing this, 1.5, 2 years-ish. Okay. Without having one. I do have one now. I've seen some of the issues that can happen in people burning down. It's just better safe than sorry. So I'm not going to tell you not to leave it unattended. I'm not going to tell you to watch it like you watch your first newborn child. Okay, but I am going to say have a fire extinguisher just in case. You know, it's just easier to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. And lastly, let's talk air quality. All right, so when I first started with my 3018, chips, dust everywhere, wore a respirator-ish. That's the best way I can say it. Luckily, it wasn't kicking up a whole ton, but it still wasn't great. Once I moved up to the long mill, there was a lot more dust and chips and just things floating in the air. So yes, I did start practicing good safety technique by wearing the respirator most of the time. Hey, what is it? Do as I say, not as I do. You're just protecting yourself. And one of the things I'm looking for is, this isn't a bad respirator, but hey, this beard. Anyone have any good tips on a respirator that works well with nice big beards? So if you do, let me know down in the comments. I'm going to look at trying to find something that works for me, maybe a little bit better. The beard is not being shaved. No, that's not happening, but I will look at different respirators. After that, I did hook up my shop vac to a dust collector and hook that up to my dust boot. And that helped, one, with keeping my rails a little bit cleaner. It helped with just, I can tell the air quality was better in my garage, but still wasn't the best. So I've been using this Shopbox air filter, hanging air filter. You can see mine is not hanging. It will be. I got a lot of planning out to do. I'm going to be running electrical over to that side of the shop. I don't have a plug anywhere over there. So trying to still get all that planned out. But right now, it's working. And I can tell you, yes, it has drastically improved the air quality in the garage when I'm cutting. Now, some people are like, well, just open your garage door. And, well, that's not always an option. Sometimes I need to have it closed because in Texas, one day it's snowing, next day it's 100 degrees, next day it's raining, next day we got 50-mile-an-hour gusts of wind. So I need to keep the garage closed sometimes. So this air filter has really, really improved and helped me out in the shop. I mean, I can just visually even see it. And I've even noticed a little less dust. It's not perfect. It's not going to clear up and, you know, revolutionize your shop, but it's going to do a great job of taking those particles out of the air. A lot of those you can't even see. And, you know, with the addition, I'm also going to be adding an AC unit into my garage to help keep cool because summer's coming up. So in conjunction with the air filter and then being able to hook up my portable AC unit in there and keep it cool and then yet still filter out all that air, it's a great addition to the shop. And I would recommend it because it's safety and health and it's good for you. I know not everyone's going to agree with me on everything in this list, and if you don't, let me know down below. If you do, let me know down below. There's links down below to all the things, well, most of the things I talked about in this video. Well, that wraps it up for this show. Thank you everyone so much for watching. Remember, if you haven't already, hit that bell and subscribe button to keep up with all the latest DE Hammered videos. Still working on the digital clock, still working on a lot of things. I got a lot of projects going on and trying to upgrade the garage while I can and before summer hits. That's the big deal. and then also keeping on top of all the projects and recording videos. So bear with me as I get everything worked out, built up, put together, and be on the lookout for some more really cool videos coming up. And let's just take one last look at the Star Trek Lower Deck sign. Again, big shout out to my friend. This is one of his favorite new Star Trek shows, and so glad I can make this for him. Hope he really enjoys it. Hope y'all enjoyed this. Again, thank you for watching, and until next time, keep making stuff.